So I'm Brooks.
I'm Joe.
And welcome to this episode of Cantina Reviews. Normally you do that, and we're going to be talking about...
We're in front of a live audience today.
Yeah.
Oh! Hey! Anyway, today we're talking about some of the new extended universe Star Wars shit.
Shit.
Roll it. Alright, so new Star Wars Episode 7 came out, and after Disney bought Lucasfilm and all his shit, and took everything he ever owned and cared about and loved, but he got a lot of money for it, so he shouldn't complain really. They wiped the whole slate clean on the entire extended universe.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people were upset about.
Well, because a lot of people invested a lot of time
Yeah.
in the learning about the Star Wars universe.
I mean, there were just so many books. Here's the thing. I think it literally would have been impossible to make a movie with all that
obviously.
stuff existing.
Two of the new ones that came out that we decided to read were Lost Stars by Claudia Gray.
And Aftermath.
By
I don't have my copy with me.
Chuck Wendig.
Yeah.
Wingding.
Wingding.
Yeah.
Chuck Wingding.
Yeah. Who kind of, you know that font Wingdings in Word? It kind of seems like he wrote the book in that and then hit translate to normal words.
Aftermath was the big one they were promoting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what happens now after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
This book is the shit. Everyone has to read it. And we did, and I hated myself.
And it was shit. I don't know. It was like, it could have been good. I'll say that.
Story's not awful. Not much happens with it.
No, he basically takes 5 chapters to describe the same thing from different viewpoints. Which, like, okay, is cool, kind of. Like, Game of Thrones, I think, does that. Explain the same period of time, but from 2 different viewpoints.
Yeah, but in the world of Game of Thrones, there's so much going on.
Exactly.
Where in this, for example, there's a scene in this book where a ship gets shot down. The rebels are, like, kind of falling from the sky. So they tell you from, like, the ship's point of view, from a person's point of view, from the Empire's point of view, of watching a ship get shot out of the sky.
And it's the same thing.
We should probably talk about what this book is about. I don't really know.
Unfortunately, I read it by myself. Lost Stars, we kind of read at the same time, so we would discuss back and forth. But unfortunately for Aftermath, where you need a second person to kind of console you while you're reading
get
it.
you through it, and
Yeah.
it's not that much longer. You can, and I think the problem is one of the main issues is the writing style is really strange. It's nothing I've ever seen in a book.
I mean, like, he has his own style. It could definitely grow on you. You could definitely like it. But the way he writes it is in, like, an action movie type script.
It seems like a script, maybe, but, like, not great.
It's like he's describing what a new movie should be.
Yeah.
This happens, and this happened. TIE fighter zinged around.
It's like, I walked into the corridor. Walking, breathing, darkness.
Yeah.
It's dark. I'm scared.
Yeah, it's kind of cold. Wind. And then, explosion! Blood everywhere!
Yeah.
That's kind of like how he writes it in, which, like, I mean, you know, it helps it move, because stuff's happening.
Right.
But once again, he falls into where he said, you know, he describes it from 5 different points of view. He says, like, details that don't kind of really matter about the same thing.
Right. So basically the premise behind the book is, like, the Empire is trying to... a little part of the Empire is trying to regain some footing after the second Death Star has been blown up.
It's like...
the Emperor's killed, Darth Vader's killed. So they meet up on this planet, and you have, like, a crew of new people that are kind of onto this, and they're trying to put a stop to this.
Yeah.
You have a guy that defected from the Empire. Then you actually have a character that shows up in The Force Awakens as a kid.
Yeah, Temmin Wexley. He's
Yeah.
one of the pilots for Poe Dameron.
And it's him, and his mother is someone who was in the Rebel Alliance, and she had disappeared for a long time. The most interesting part of the book for me was just the Empire kind of discussing, like, what now? That was kind of interesting, and it's not focused on that much, but I mean, the politics behind who really takes the power now.
Yeah, you kind of see a power struggle with, like, you know, the people in the room. Definitely another thing that was pretty cool that a lot of people are going to complain about if we don't mention it is Wedge Antilles is in it. He's in the beginning, he gets captured, they kind of interrogate him for information.
Yeah, he plays somewhat of a cool role in the book.
And then the book happens and he manages to escape, and then he leaves with Temmin, his mother, this rebel officer, and then...
Another thing I didn't enjoy very much at all were the little interludes in the book. Every couple chapters, there would be, like, an interlude about some other person somewhere that I thought was eventually going to pertain to the story.
Yeah, you thought it was kind of going to tie in, and it didn't. I thought they were good because they took you away from the story that was so poorly thought out.
At first, I didn't like that it took away from the story too much.
You
Now,
need that.
it was like a relief, I guess.
Good job, Chuck. You did well.
Despite the book sucking, I do like the characters, the new characters.
Yeah, the characters were good. The character development was actually pretty decent.
The thing between Nora and her son, because her son, Temmin, who shows up in Force Awakens, being resistant to her because she went away, but her trying to show she went away for such a good cause.
Even with some of those interludes, it delves into the fact that these are real people fighting in, like, a real war. Nora leaves her son to go fight for the rebel cause. So you see how that kind of affects their lives and other people's. So it's pretty cool just to see that.
Overall, I think there's a lot of good ideas, decent plot points, pretty good characters.
Yeah,
the execution is the huge problem.
Next time he just needs to type in English.
Complete sentences. Commas are good.
Semicolons occasionally.
I don't know, like apostrophes.
Apostrophes, maybe.
Colons.
I believe he was like Nora said, and then Temmin said. And then he said...
Yeah, like a thesaurus would be great.
Webster's Dictionary.
I mean, you can Google these things now. I mean...
So yeah, when you're reading Aftermath, it's definitely written for, I'd say, a more grown-up audience, but some of the vocabulary is a little, like, younger.
Yeah.
Not there's anything really wrong with that, but at the same time, it's like, you're reading this book that's supposed to establish the next universe. You don't want it to be like a young adult or a kid's book, which, leads us into Lost Stars.
Supposedly a young adult novel.
Yeah, supposedly written for young adults. I thought it was way better than Aftermath.
1,000 times better than Aftermath.
And even then, like...
here's the thing, what was weird. They really pushed Aftermath. This is the book to read. This just kind of cast off to the side as a young adult book.
Yep.
And it's just unbelievably better.
You are fully invested in the characters.
Yeah. So basically, this one follows along two people. They were...
two kids.
Two kids, they were raised together. They were both wanted to be pilots. And, not raised together, but around the same planet. They're friends. And they both wanted to be pilots, and they practice with each other. I think what's cool about this one, you were touching upon with Aftermath of, like, the two sides of the spectrum. This one is about kids that all they want to do is grow up and be in the Empire.
Yeah. Yeah, so you really see the one side of the spectrum where, they're not necessarily brainwashed, but you can tell that they love the Empire.
There's a lot of propaganda going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of propaganda going on, which is really kind of just, determining their lives.
Yeah.
So then we take the next step, they kind of give you a little story about them being kids. Just, once again, they're really developing the characters, developing their bond, their relationship.
Yeah, it's a guy and a girl.
Yeah, a guy and a girl, or a boy and a girl. And then, the time comes, the Imperials come, and they pick them, and they go to the Imperial Officer Academy on Coruscant. And basically, the next part of the book is about them training together in the Academy along with some other peers and becoming Imperial officers, which shows that the Empire wasn't just the Empire. You have these people actually being trained to be these officers.
Well, I think what seems to be a theme in the new extended universe, I don't know to what extent they did in the old, but showing that like all the stormtroopers in their helmets and their uniforms are just regular people. And that really comes into play later on with the Death Star.
Yeah, because they're portrayed as the faceless army, but then at the same time, it's like just from the beginning of the book, you're shown that these are kids from another planet, not Coruscant or anything like that. And then they go to the academy, they get trained. They both really wanted to be pilots. He was a TIE pilot. She was just a normal bridge officer, I believe, on one of the Star Destroyers.
Yeah. So basically the guy Thane, and over the course of his duty, starts to see how shitty the Empire is.
Yeah, he starts to kind of see through the facade that, they're just scaring people to be under their rule, where they thought they were kind of ruling through, like, hearts and minds, as opposed to, a physical fear.
Right. So he defects and he joins the rebels. She stays, she's like, I made an oath, I'm gonna stay. And basically, we'll jump ahead. It starts to follow the original trilogy, interjecting them and what they were doing as it was going on.
Yeah, which was pretty cool, because you kind of go into A New Hope with the Death Star being destroyed, and what's pretty interesting, which once again, her just painting the picture that these are normal people. They had friends on the Death Star, which was a top secret project. The best officers, the best stormtroopers went to the Death Star because it was the cutting edge of their military. And they had friends there, and it got blown up.
Yeah, and like throughout Thane and Sienna, the girl meet up at certain times, and they're having this debate over which side to be on. And he's like, "Oh well, the Empire's terrible. It enslaves people. It terrifies people. All this stuff." And she's like, "Well, the rebels are terrible. They just blew up all of our friends.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
blew up thousands of people." So I mean, you don't really think about that in the original.
No, yeah, you're kind of just shown that obviously the Empire is bad. You know, you see both sides of what they're saying.
So I mean, they kind of almost encounter each other. They sometimes they do encounter each other, and it goes throughout the movies, and it even goes ahead, which was cool because now we're getting more into after Return of the Jedi territory.
Right, we go into the Battle of Jakku, which is, you know, something that hasn't really truly been described yet, and if it has, I just haven't kept up to date with it, because I know it was in Battlefront, but they don't really explain, like,
this seems to be the first description of that. I think.
Yeah,
which is another surprising reason why Aftermath was pushed over this so much, because Aftermath doesn't have Jakku.
No, Aftermath kind of just talks, which once again is a cool idea, but yeah, it just talks about how they're gonna restart the Empire and who's gonna be in control.
Yeah, I think what's cool about that, so then like Thane's involved with that in that fight, but then as shit hits the fan for the Empire, as seen in The Force Awakens with all the stuff destroyed everywhere, he goes in to save her, who she's still an Imperial officer. I thought it was a really good scene was when he is like literally they're fighting because she's trying to go down with her starship and he's trying to get her off of it.
Yeah, and he's
just the character tension is just amazing compared to.
Oh yeah, just reading the back and forth. I mean, this is one of those rare books that I've read where I just have not been able to put it down.
Yeah.
Like I'll say one more chapter, and then I just keep reading that one more chapter instead of actually putting it down.
Right.
I mean, the book just kept you going the whole time. You never really knew what was going to happen. The characters, you were heavily invested in the characters.
Yeah, so overall, I mean, if between Lost Stars and Aftermath, Lost Stars absolutely destroyed it.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I think they totally dropped the ball and should have been promoting the shit out of this. Or just like the both of them together. I mean, because when you look this one up, it's like Star Wars Lost Stars, young adult novel. It didn't get that much attention. You knew it was there.
I mean, Aftermath, it's a good idea. It's just the way he wrote it, the way you have to read it, it's not the best.
Bad execution.
Yeah, it's a good idea, good book. Terrible execution.
I mean, there's also the issue of they don't want to give away too much stuff before Episode 8 comes out.
Right.
I think Life Debt starts, from what I've read, starts to go into the First Order a little bit, but they don't want to give out a lot, obviously.
I mean, I understand that they don't want to release too much information, but at the same time, it's like, when you're reading these books, you can tell that they don't want to give away too much.
Right. The old extended universe had the luxury of the movies were done.
Yes.
So they could just
go with whatever they want.
Here they have to really keep away from giving away anything that would affect the movies that haven't come out yet.
Right.
And you see that in some of the other books they have out too.
But yeah, definitely pick up Lost Stars, give it a read. It's definitely going to be one of the better books you read. And Aftermath, I would pick it up just to, so you know some of the extended universe. But, don't expect too much and certainly strap yourself in if you plan on reading more than 15 pages a day.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm Brooks.
I'm Joe.
And this has been this episode of Cantina Reviews. So until next time.
See ya. Credits.
Do.
I like how we wait, like we have to wait.
Yeah. like we're doing the video.
Right.
Like it's playing right now. And
live.
then and then I'm like 3.
No edits.
What'd you say? No AIDS?
Yeah, they just that's all they wanted to do. They wanted to, I mean, like, where the fuck am I going with this? I can't even think about what I'm saying.